being joined by the man who was successful in his UFC debut on Friday night. There he is.
Hello, hello.
Jose Shorty Torres, my man. How are you?
I'm great, man.
Congratulations. Please have a seat. Thank you for coming in.
I appreciate it, man. It's always a great time to be on the show.
Thank you. This is really cool, and congratulations. You're 1-0 in the UFC. When we spoke just a few months ago, you were hoping to get the call. We have a lot to discuss here. First of all, you're not from this area, right? You're from Chicago,
I'm from
right?
Chicago, so
what brings you around here?
I'm actually staying with nutrition. So immediately when I got the call, I was actually chuckling about it because I was like, no, I'm not taking the fight.
Okay.
And then I called nutrition to laugh about it. I was like,
Lou
oh,
Giordano. Yep.
They called me and they're like, oh, 26 pounds in 9 days. I'm like, not doing it. Called him chuckling about it. He goes, you're just fat. You can make the weight. Like, you're in shape. You can do it. It's going to suck, but let's do it. So immediately I flew to his house, no hesitation, because I wanted everything to be down to a T because I had, again, 26 pounds, 9 days. I'm a flyweight. That's a quarter of my weight. And we're able to get it down. And so, I go, let me enjoy myself while I'm in Jersey. Every time I'm in Jersey, I'm never eating. I'm never indulging in anything. So let me fatten up and have some fun while I'm here.
So you weighed 151?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
9 days?
Yeah. So
how difficult was it?
It physically, it wasn't difficult because we did the proper things to move down. Just mentally, it was draining because almost 4 hours in the day, I'm in heat. It's hot tubs, saunas, hot tubs, working out in 8 pounds of clothing with sauna top and bottoms on. Working out again, heat, taking a small break, going back to the sauna. So it wasn't fun at all.
Was it the most difficult cut of your career? I mean, safe to say, right?
It was easily the most difficult cut, and the biggest problem was mentally. For people who don't know, I did have a really hard time cutting weight in college. 125, I did it every single weekend, and I didn't have a nutritionist. I didn't have somebody telling me what to eat, what to do. And when you had a college buffet and the food's right in front of you, I'm indulging. So every single weekend, I'd gain 20 pounds and had to lose 20 pounds every single week.
Oh, my.
And even though my body was getting used to it, it was just pain. So I never wanted to do that again. So my pro career started at 35, was staying that way, met nutrition, and ended up being a flyweight fighter.
So you initially said no strictly because you thought it was just too much weight to cut in that short amount of time, right? Yeah. Why do they keep calling you on short notice?
It's the flyweight division. It's not exciting, so they're not investing in whatever talent, whether it be myself or somebody who has bigger, more accolades than me. So when they called me in, they go, hey, sorry, another last minute call. This is the 9th one. Are you going to take it? For me, technically, I was healthy enough to take it. I just was bigger than what I wanted. I go, I'm not a fan of these last-minute weight cuts. You see the Mackenzie Derns, Darren Tills, and all these guys, and just not performing the way you want to perform. But, my team really believed in me, and that's my support group. So I go, sure, let's do it.
Were you worried if you said no that they wouldn't come calling for a while?
That was the big fear of if I said no, it's like, dude, they called you 9 times. How many more times
are they going
to
call
you?
Mm-hmm. Holy smokes. You said no to the UFC 8 times.
Well, 6 of those was because I was injured. One of them I said yes, and then one of them we said yes and then got injured in the process.
Oh, my.
So, but they've all been last minute. It's nothing been more than 10 days.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess on the one hand, you know that they really like you because they keep calling you, but don't like you enough to give you like at least somewhat of a normal camp.
Yeah, and the bad thing was after my last fight on February 16th, got to knock out, felt great, looked great. But I'm in limbo. Am I defending a 25-pound belt? Am I defending a 35-pound belt? Am I bumping up to 45, which I was planning to do? Am I joining Bellator? Am I joining UFC? Am I joining another promotion? What's next for me? So I was in training camp pretty much since February. I just wasn't in a proper diet because I was getting ready for a 45-pound belt. Did
you get close to Bellator? I know there was interest.
Yeah, there definitely was interest, but it was one of those things which I think is really funny because I did nothing wrong in the sense. It was, here, we're going to give this offer. It's like, oh, this is great, cool, no negotiations, I like this. All right, they're going to give you a call next week. All right, we're going to cut your negotiations in half. It's like,
what?
What did I do wrong? I thought, I thought once you said yes, that's it.
Yeah.
And then they cut the number in half, and I was like, hold on, let's meet somewhere in the middle. And then weeks. They invited me to Chicago. We talked nothing about the promotion, like moving up to the promotion itself. And then eventually they're like, hey, we're hearing rumors. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm more than happy to answer whatever. What are the rumors? Oh, just rumors. And I'm like,
what?
Oh, okay. And then that was it. So they're like, we want you, just not right now.
Okay.
I was like, okay, cool. I guess I'm gonna probably fight for the 45-pound belt. I saw Lomachenko do it for boxing, given I know it's different with the weight classes, but I'm trying to create a legacy. I'm not trying to do the same old. I wanted to do something different.
So with them, it would have been 135, right?
Yeah, for Bellator it would have been 135, and for me, because of my accolades, because of what I've been able to do, is either more than likely a #1 contender spot or automatically fighting Darrion Caldwell for the belt.
Oh, really? Wow.
Mm-hmm.
In UFC, do you want to be in 125, or is that
I-
just the opening that came up now?
Right now, 125 is my weight class that I want to dominate.
Okay.
I feel like that's the weight class that definitely needs me.
What do you mean
And
by needs you?
everyone's been recycled.
Yeah.
You know, you have Cejudo and Benavidez top who've been beating Pettis and all these guys at the bottom that are, you know, like myself, being properly moved up. But then they get to them and they keep on losing. So those two guys are being recycled against Demetrius Johnson. They've already lost
Yeah.
a total of 3 times. So it's, again, those two are athletes, are phenomenal athletes, and the whole division is stacked because Demetrius Johnson's such a phenomenal fighter. He's made the whole division look boring.
Yeah.
So they need someone, I believe, like me to create the exciting fights. Me, I take the beating, I get bumps and bruises, broken bones, whatever the case may be, but it's something the fans want, and that's what I'm trying to give.
So okay, so you get there, and the week, obviously it's a bad week. Not bad, but it's difficult because you're cutting a lot of weight. But the experience of being, because I had heard from people, and it's a tough question to ask you, I know, because this was your UFC debut, but I was talking to some people that it didn't feel like a big UFC, right? You're in
Yeah.
Utica, there's not a lot of media there, there's not a lot of buzz. What was it like for you? Because this is not Vegas, this is not T-Mobile. It's a bit of a smaller card. You know, it's a
It was
Friday
like
night.
the junior college of universities. You know?
Was that weird, or did you not know any better? I mean, anything is cool at this point.
Actually,
You're in the UFC.
I never got to realize I was in the UFC until I got into the cage. You know, I had 9 days of cutting weight, all the New York Athletic State Commission tests, MRI, MRA, EKG in 9 days, and those tests you have to get like months in advance appointments.
Yeah.
So I'm rushing everything. UFC's, you know, trying to get me to do all this stuff. I'm doing USADA tests. I'm doing USADA hour exams, all that stuff. And then I'm also cutting 26 pounds in 9 days, flying from Florida to New Jersey, Jersey to Utica, New York, and doing all these things, media obligations, where I'm Mr. Yes Man. So me denying media stuff is very, very different for me. So I'm doing so much, but by the time I made weight, which I actually didn't think I was gonna make weight because of how much weight we had to lose,
Wow.
I was that, you know, scared about it. And Lou, even my nutritionist, he was like, I actually might pull the plug in, you know, certain parts of the camp because of just how mentally I was feeling. But, you know, we pushed through, made weight.
How close do you think you were to not making weight?
Well, we knew we were gonna make weight. It was the mental aspect.
Okay.
You know, like physically, we knew we were sweating. We knew we could do it. But mentally, like I just didn't want to do it anymore. You know, like we
Wow.
did a full workout, and it took me. The last day I had maybe 4 pounds to lose, and it took me about 5 hours to lose those 4 pounds.
Wow.
So in those in the 3-hour gap in there, after the last hot tub that I thought was gonna be my last hot tub, I'm like, not doing it. We're gonna do something else. I'm not jumping in the heat anymore. You know, so we had to figure something out.
How'd you do it?
Pretty much just relax. It's surprisingly, I lost almost a pound doing nothing, like giving my body some type of sense of relaxation. And I was able to use the washroom. Everything worked out well, and you know, I wasn't dehydrated. I wasn't, you know.
Was it like that Darren Till video that came out? Like, were they dragging you places and you're fainting and
see,
stuff?
that's the crazy thing is, I'm not saying that was an over exaggeration because I 100% believe it. I felt that way, and I had people, you know, hey man, can you help me get out of the hot tub? I feel like I'm gonna faint, but I took the proper, you know, things to do of, you know, I'm gonna just chill in the tub while the water's all out. Let me recoup instead of just getting up. All right, let me get out of the water, do this. So I was doing the right things instead of you hear the stories of people, you know, banging their head on the wall and stuff. But to my UFC debut, I didn't notice that I was signed to the UFC. Like Reebok would give me the gear, all this stuff's happening. They're like, dude, how do you feel? I'm like, whatever, man, I don't care. Like I was in weight cutting mode.
Yeah.
You know, and then by the time I made weight, I'm in there to fight. Immediately when I got in the cage, I turned to nutrition. I go, I can feel the lights. Like I could legit feel the heat from the lights. Oh my God, I'm in the UFC. And then I fought, and given everything worked out, you know, given not exactly as planned, but I got the knockout, so be it. But it was one of those things that's like, that's not the UFC debut I wanted. You know, given I wanted to put on a show like that, come back to university, that's my type of fight, but I'm disappointed in the whole performance. Like, yeah, so be it. He knocked me down, I got dropped, so be it. I lost first round. That's almost every one of my fights. But I wanted to put on the performance that everyone expected. And that's something I'm really excited to do for my next fight.
Well, you got people talking. I mean, the clip has been shown everywhere, right?
Yeah, Sports Center, ESPN, everywhere.
And we'll get to that in a second. But in between the first and second, after that first round, are you thinking to yourself, like, this is a nightmare? How do I get back on track here? How do I reverse this? Because this isn't going. I mean, there were a couple times in that first round where it looked a little dicey, right?
Well, the funny thing about that was after the bell rang, I literally thought in my head, I was like, oh man, my coach is just going to give it to me now. Like, they're just going to let me have it. And immediately, they all stood there, all three, just kind of like, are you going to fight now? Like, come on, are you going to stop playing around? I'm just like, all right. Sat down. No one talked about me getting dropped.
Okay.
Like, no one, they're just like, hey, keep your hands up. Let's go. Do your thing. You can actually win this fight. You know you can, but you're not alive yet.
Yeah.
And for me, I do have to get punched a couple times. I have to get dropped, whatever the case may be, to wake up. And second round, I started to push the pace.
Not to set you up for an excuse, but do you feel like the cut kind of drained you a little bit? Like, did it affect your performance on Friday?
Not at all.
It didn't. Okay.
Not at all.
All right.
So the
How big
rehyd,
were you in there? Like, how much?
I weighed 143.
Okay.
So
all
I
right.
gained 18 pounds.
Wow.
We're actually kind of disappointed because we expected a lot more, but
Really?
yeah.
What's the biggest you've been for a flyweight fight?
For a flyweight fight, I believe 145, 148.
Okay.
So I usually gain my weight very fast, but this one, once I started drinking, my body was sweating. So it was just kind of naturally just giving everything back, thinking we're still cutting weight.
Yeah.
So I weighed 143. I think Jared Brooks weighed 131 or 133. So I had a decent size advantage.
Wow.
But I mean, overall, I mean, I felt fine. I knew once I rehydrated, nutritionist protocol on rehydration, I had no worry whatsoever. It was just making the weight and mentally staying strong for it.
Okay.
But when it comes to my performance because of the weight cut, had nothing to do with it.
So I want to talk about the finishing sequence here. And we have the clip courtesy of FS1 and Zuffa. And so we're going to play the clip over here. And I want to get your thoughts on what is going on because I've watched it a gazillion times.
Yeah.
And it's still kind of hard for me. Like, I know what happened, but it's still kind of hard for me to understand how he knocked himself out to the point where, because it almost seems like you break the fall a little bit because you're being slammed, or at least he's attempting to slam you. So how do you hit yourself so hard to where you're getting knocked out? So here's the sequence. You can see that. I know it's a little small, but so he picks you up right there, right? You're on his shoulder, and then boom. What is going on? Can you just explain, like, even if you need to go a few steps before we're showing, this is all we have, but just explain from your vantage point. I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So I don't even have to look at it. So pretty much immediately when he dropped down.
It, by the way.
Well, I've only seen it maybe 5 times, 6 times.
Really?
Everyone's just been bombarding me with him, but I'm like, I've lived it. I know it, so I don't mind it. But the big thing was, I got the couple knees. He shot in for the shot, picked me up. Immediately, I started to climb down.
Okay.
And the big thing for wrestling is you want to lock the hips. You don't want them to be able to turn. You don't want them to be able to take your back because that's pretty much the goal in wrestling. You take them down, you want to take the back. So when I was able to lock the hips, he couldn't arch. He couldn't turn. So when he was trying to do his, big throw, he fell completely straight back, flat. And his arms were extended. He landed on his shoulder, and he pretty much hit a nerve, and he passed out because of it. For me, when I landed on my side, regardless if he passed out or not, I was going to take his back.
You felt the end was coming. You felt you were in a good spot there.
Whether the end was coming or not, I knew I was going to take
a dominant. Okay.
And I was going to get into a dominant position, and that was the college wrestling scramble experience.
Wow, has that ever happened to you?
That's actually happened to me twice in college.
Really? Damn. But with the same end result?
Not with the same end result, where I've had people like daze themselves, not knock themselves out, given I don't punch them after. But I've had people daze themselves where I've blocked their hips, they go straight back because of the momentum. And from there, they just get into like a weary state. And from there, I just take their back and now, cross-body ride, do stuff like that.
Now, at what point you realized that he screwed himself here?
Once he fell, I felt him go limp.
You did? Wow. And then what are you thinking?
I have no choice but to punch, It would look bad for me to just stand up and be like, all right, cool. Because one, the ref could be like, hey, no, keep on fighting. Or it just looks even worse for him that he knocked himself out. For me, I'm just going in there, taking his back, and I have to do what I have to do, and that's my job.
So it's interesting because when I hear you break it down, obviously you're somewhat in control and there's a science to it. But the general population, especially when this is like blasted out to non-sports fans, they just think, look at this guy, he just knocked himself out, not giving you any credit. Do you feel like you're not being given enough credit for the finish?
It's a 50-50 because I don't want credit for the finish. It's more of he technically did knock himself out, but it's what I did is what caused him to knock himself out. That makes
you deserve credit.
So I deserve half of it to a degree. He did technically knock himself out, but it was more because he did too much in that process. He tried to do what he wanted to do. I just didn't allow him to do it, and in the process, he knocked himself out.
If you just were kind of standing there and let him pick you up without any sort of, plan of attack there, you would have gone slammed, and he would not have been knocked out.
If you saw his last fight with the Brazilian, the guy got picked up multiple times. The guy was flailing on the top, and then it looks great for the fans because it's a big thump on the mat, and out of nowhere, Jared Brooks is back on top. But for me, it's all right, you're going to slam me. Let me try to do something to better myself so when we land, even though it looks good for you, I'm in a better position because of it.
What's your reaction when you realize the fight is over and you just won your UFC debut that way?
It was, again, a 50-50 because it wasn't how I wanted it, but a win's a win.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy because of it. And it's, I feel bad for Jared Brooks because he's getting so much, bad publicity for it. But it's one of those things that MMA, anything can happen.
So it's interesting because I saw your tweet and you were saying like, props to you, came to say hello to my family. And then I saw you guys take a picture together, right? It seemed maybe at the hotel. But then his tweets seemed to suggest that he was mad at you for things that you said. And he was kind of upset about the whole situation.
And that's the thing is, it's MMA is becoming slowly like the WWE, you know, where people have to talk smack, do this, do that. My social media game has always been humble. You know, it's like, hey man, I understand the sport. We're all after the same goal. It just so happens we're on each other's way. Like, I know the struggle, I know the grind, and I'm happy you accepted the fight, and you're the reason, in a sense, why I'm in the UFC. So after the fight, we were talking, everything's good. Then we went back to the hotel. He ended up running into my family. Was the most polite gentleman in the world. It was like he was taking my daughter out to a prom date. Like, it was ridiculous. I was like, oh, this is awesome. They took each other's number, wants to hang out with me, wants to train with me.
Cool.
Perfect. And then the next morning, I'm getting screenshots from people because I don't follow him. And people were telling me that he said this, he said that. I was like, you know, I go check it out. And I was like, cool. Like, he's back on his Colby Covington, Conor McGregor type of social media thing. Like, I paid no mind to it. For me, I ended up doing the post right after I saw that. And then I think he ended up deleting his original post and then changed it. The only problem is his rebuttal ended up being worse, saying that I knocked myself out and it's all over ESPN, it's all over SportsCenter. So it's kind of like you're trying to be the bad good guy, you know, like put yourself out there, but it's, you know, there's a lot of backlash to it.
So you don't have any animosity. You don't feel like
I can care less.
Okay,
and
you moved on.
Yeah, I've moved on, and if the UFC wants a rematch, then so be it. They want the rematch, but for me, I'm trying to move on to the top 15 and you know, see where it goes from there.
And so you mentioned like the clip, you know, getting picked up everywhere. In fact, there's a new show on ESPN that's been hyped up. It just debuted at noon, and I saw a tweet saying that they were discussing. They don't know much about MMA, but they were even discussing. You're like, who'd have thought? You know, your debut. It's you know, the first fight of the night, and here you are getting more press than Marlon Moraes. It's crazy. What's been is that kind of surreal for you to see yourself all over the place now after and especially in that kind of way where it's like, as you said, a 50-50, it's not just like a straight knockout where you're getting all this pub.
I mean, it's really cool. It's funny because people found out about my UFC debut before I even found out I was getting signed. Like, people were like, is it true? I was like, what are you talking about? I'm getting screenshots of Jared Brooks and myself like in the face-off thing. I was like, what the hell? And I don't know, I get a call from my manager saying, hey, you're signed to the UFC. I was like, oh. And then now with this fight coming up and everything that happened, mainly with the knockout, I'm getting, you know, shares on social media, 1.1 million views on ESPN, SportsCenter, all this stuff. I'm just like, I mean, it's not exactly the knockout I wanted, but hey, I'll take it. Any publicity, you know, great publicity, mainly with this, and you know, it makes me that much more excited to get my proper UFC debut, where I have a 2-month training camp, a 10-week training camp, and showing 100% of my skill that I know that I can be the best flyweight division, you know, in the division.
Sure. Anyone reach out to you that you haven't heard from in a while that said like, oh man, I just saw you on ESPN, I just saw your clip somewhere?
I've had a lot of sponsors hit me up that have kind of like let me, you know, kind of gave me shade, and then I don't know where
now they're back.
Hey, what's up? I was like, oh, now you guys call me. But it's really cool, you know, new fans, old fans, whatever the case may be. It's again, you know, as we talked last time, I do say we can, we will together. We are Team Shorty, because if it weren't for everyone's support, I wouldn't be where I'm at today.
Right. We also talked last time about Chicago, and Chicago's coming up, but you're not on the card. You were 1 week short.
1 week short. Hey, New York's the next best thing for me.
Okay, fair enough. But is it a bummer that like would that have been, you know, like if you had your way, of course you're going to take the opportunity. It worked out in the end. You got a lot of buzz. But is it a bummer that you were 1 week short? Was that the dream to debut in Chicago?
Easily would have been the dream. That, again, like I was telling you, that's my Madison Square Garden. That's my, you know, holy grail. For me, you know, I was talking to Curtis because he wants me at the fight. And originally, months ago, he's like, hey, you come to the fight? I go, dude, I'd love to support you, but I really don't want to be bombarded with so many questions. Why aren't you on the card? Why isn't the UFC signing you? And it's the same thing almost for every single person. It's like, I'd rather watch it at home with friends and family and do that. But now, you know, I'm officially in the UFC. I was like, hey, I got my fight. You know, people are happy with them. I have great publicity with it. Yeah, I want to come support you. Maybe I can get a ticket or two. You know, Mick Maynard hooked me up, and yeah, I definitely want to be able to. I think there's 4 Chicagoans on the card, so I want to be able to definitely support. And it's easily, I think, one of the biggest cards in MMA history. It's a great phenomenal.
Card. So you are going to go now? Okay.
I just got to get tickets. I'm still waiting on the confirmation of tickets, but I leave tomorrow night to Chicago to be home with family, friends, and hopefully I can sneak my way in the door and just support my teammates.
I kind of feel like you're going to enjoy it a lot more now because you're in. You got the debut out of the way. You're 1-0. So now you can sit back. Like you feel a part of the
I feel part of the UFC family. I'm not in MMA limbo anymore. So that's the best thing for me.
Is that? And I was actually just going to ask you, like, you meet people all the time. I'm sure people ask you what you do for a living. Oh, you fight in the UFC? No, I fight for. And this is no knock on the Titans of the world, but the UFC is the UFC, right? Does that feel good as well to finally tell people, yeah, I'm a UFC fighter?
I officially do UFC.
Yeah, exactly.
So instead of saying UFC? Like, do you do MMA? No, I do UFC now. Like, I'm the correct people now. And it's, you know, it's awesome. And it's finally settling in that I'm officially a UFC fighter. You know, my social media game has always been a little above average, but now with, you know, the UFC, you know, pretty much being the pedestal for me, and I can just do what I need to do. Again, I told them I don't need any type of guidance. I don't need any type of help. Just put me on the pedestal. I'll do all the talking.
Will you not get as big now because you're going to be sticking at 125 so that you don't have to? I
Well,
mean, of course, you're not going to want a short notice fight every time, but before, because you're doing 135, 145, will you try to hover around closer to 125?
yeah, and that's what I want to do, and that's usually the nutrition protocol, 15, 20 pounds. And, you know, given that right now, because I want to enjoy myself,
Yeah.
I believe I definitely deserve that. But I'm definitely enjoying all the
How big
jersey
did you
and
get?
Cali
Like,
food.
how big
Right now, I'm probably about 150 or 155.
Wow. So
Yeah,
you're right
I
back.
got the chunky cheeks right now, so I'm definitely enjoying life. And it's 2 weeks of just relaxing because again, I've been in training camp since February, but you know, right now it's go back to Chicago, see what happens next, and I'm definitely traveling a lot in the next few months to, you know, help other fighters, help myself, and just better myself as a full 100% athlete and see what, you know, happens next. But I think, you know, if everything works well, September is a phenomenal time to fight.
Okay. And home as far as training is Florida?
Well, home for me is Chicago, but training is pretty much everywhere. But right now, American Top Team, Coconut Creek, Florida.
But right now, you're open to.
I'm a guy who, I mean, I love American Top Team. It's funny because I went there initially because I didn't have a training camp. You know, TJ was doing his own thing. He just had his baby, so
Yep.
anytime he's not in the gym, you know, no one shows up. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go to American Top Team. I'll just do a camp, and I ended up falling in love with the people and just the gym itself. Like everything there is amazing. So I've been staying there. I've been enjoying myself. I have a great time, but I do like the gym hump. I do like to travel and just get, you know, different experiences. And everyone that's, you know, helped me in my career has molded me to the person I am today.
You see a fellow teammate, Yoel Romero?
Yeah, I walked out there. He's like,
Saw him?
hey,
There
what's
he
up? Yo? So we had a great time. And, you know, him and I are meeting up in Chicago when we get back home. And I'm going
Oh,
to be
great.
taking him to healthier places before, you know, his official weigh-in day. And then after, hopefully, you know, we'll hang out again. I hang out with most of those guys who are on the UFC Chicago card. So even with the Utica card, you know, when I walked in, everyone, John Anik already knows me. All these people know me. I was like, hey, what's up, guys? This is awesome. You know,
Yes.
they know my accolades, all this stuff. So it's really cool to have people know who I am before I walk in, and it's you know, it's humbling because I've worked hard to get to this point in my life.
Colby Covington, your thoughts?
I think it's gonna be a phenomenal fight. You
No,
know,
as a person.
as it's funny because he
You ever have you have interactions with him at the gym?
the fight. I have amazing interactions with him at the
Really?
gym. So him and I are actually good friends at the gym.
Okay.
So he wished me great luck, you know, for the fight, all that stuff. And in the gym, awesome person. And then I was like, you know what? Let me take a picture with him. I'll post on social
Oh,
media.
no.
I actually lost followers posting
Really?
a picture, and I was making light of one of his jokes. You know,
Okay.
something about it, like a horse face. Like, who doesn't like horses? You know, and I was trying to make light of some, you know, of a bad situation, and people took it
got
completely
pissed,
the
eh?
other way.
Yeah.
Like it was just topsy-turvy, and I lost maybe about 200 or 300 followers at
Come
the time.
on.
And I was
Really?
just like, it's just a picture. It's okay. They're like, we thought you were better than that, Shorty. And I'm like, what do you? It's just Kobe.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's why it's like, oh, all right. Whoops. I'm not taking it down, but
Yeah,
I
you
guess I
gotta be
won't
like
be
a
taking a picture
closet
with him and
friend of
posting.
his.
Yeah, pretty much.
I get the same thing. Like when I say, like, if he's on the show, people get so mad.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? They all watch. They
Yeah.
all like what he's doing. Listen, I don't agree with everything that he has done and said, but it is working. He's fighting for the interim belt. He's not getting that interim title shot if he's not talking like that. I know it's not your thing.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
said that you want to be, you know, humble and do
No.
things your own way, but the proof is in the pudding. It's working. There is a method to this.
Yeah, there
madness.
is. Conor McGregor started it. People now taking their own little directions with it. Kobe has his, and again, like you said, he's only beaten Damian Maia. You know, a bunch of people have beaten Damian Maia, but they don't immediately go for an interim belt.
Yeah.
You know, so he's getting it. And he's getting the opportunity because of it.
And so how, like, the thing about 125 is more than any other male division, I'll say, because female, some of them, you know, 145 is a little different as well. Like you can climb that ladder very quickly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen some guys who maybe didn't deserve or weren't, even Cejudo, like he wasn't, in a perfect world, he's not getting that title shot at 197.
What was it like? How many missed weights did he have
Missed
before
weights,
he
but I think
finally
it was
came
just
in?
like 3 fights in the UFC at that point. Like he hadn't done enough. Do you feel like you are ready, like 2-3 fights, you're going to be in that discussion, or do you want the slow build?
I 100% believe so.
Okay,
You know,
so that's what you want.
I would love to be fast track. I believe I should have been in the UFC a year ago
Okay.
when I was able to knock out a UFC veteran in 86 seconds, you know, and he fought Tim Elliott. I think Tim Elliott would be a fantastic fight. And some of the guys that I do want to call out are guys that I not that I don't disrespect any of them. It's more of I respect them so much, I want to fight you. I respect you so much because I know you're an exciting fighter. It's not going to be, and again, no disrespect to Cejudo, great for his accomplishments, but I'm not trying to get out wrestled in the match. Same thing with Jared Brooks. I wasn't excited for the fight because I go, he's just going to wrestle me and hold me. You know, he dropped me and literally held me for, I think, 2 minutes to let me recoup. And it's like, that's not the fight I want. Like, thanks for doing that for me, but that's not the fight I want. I want something that's, you know, there's blood, there's bruises. I want, you know, throwing matches. If you're gonna wrestle me, I want you to make highlight reel. Not a highlight reel of you knocking yourself out. I want something great. You know, and again, this is not trying to shun Jared Brooks, but you know, I'd love to fight whomever. You know, I was getting ready to, just in case, drop for if Pettis or Benavidez didn't make weight.
Oh.
Yeah, I was like, all right, cool. Like, I called dibs. Like, I called that last minute replacement. So.
Even now or not?
Oh, definitely not. Now. I know Illinois has like a 2 week. You have to have 14 days, but you know, I'm ready for the next best thing. And I think with the proper training camp and everything, and giving myself a little time to relax in between, I think September is a phenomenal time to fight someone in the top 15. It's just who's, you know, ready enough to take the fight against me.
So Tim Elliott is someone that has come to mind?
I think Tim Elliott's a phenomenal fight. And I think it's a storybook fight because he ended up winning the Ultimate Fighter, vacating the belt, which gave me an opportunity to become the flyweight champion. You know, I fought for it, knocked the guy out, won the belt, and immediately I thought, I didn't know what, you know, how the outcome of the show happened. So I thought he lost, maybe, you know, he's gonna come back and we were supposed to fight. So I want to see who's the undisputed champ. You know, I think that'd be an awesome opportunity. Him and I did train each other. I was helping him for DJ while he was helping me for Pedro Nobre defend the belt. And I got the knockout against one of his former opponents. He went the distance with DJ. And I think it'd just be a phenomenal story to see who would have been the undisputed champion if, you know, that would have happened.
Are you kind of rooting for DJ not to lose? Like, do you want him to be the champion when and if you
It's not even that I'm not rooting for him to lose or whatever.
No, no, to not lose. Like, you want to be the guy to beat DJ.
I would love to dethrone him.
Right.
And I have nothing but respect for the guy because he's, again, done something in the sport that's never been done before. But I don't see him losing anytime soon.
Yeah.
If it does happen, it's honestly because somebody closes their eyes and throws a lucky punch. I just don't see it at all happening anytime soon.
Do you enjoy watching him fight?
I love watching him fight because it's something where he's so technical, you just have to break it down. The Ray Borg fight, you know, again, Ray Borg's a phenomenal fighter, and I've trained with him before, and he's pushed the pace against me as well. So seeing what he did against Ray Borg and literally toying with him, looking at his coach like, should I do this? Okay, no, I'll wait a couple more rounds. And he's just literally toying with him. It's like, that's where you want to be. That's the exact pinnacle of where you want to be in your career, where you can toy with every single fighter in the division, do whatever you want with them.
So you don't think Cejudo has a chance?
I don't think Cejudo has a chance. He might, out wrestle him again for, you know, 2-3 takedowns, but is he going to be able to keep the pace for 5 rounds, and is he going to be able to keep the stand-up? I mean, the big thing was the knees. You know, the knees took him out in the first fight. I can see the knees take him out again.
What about TJ versus DJ at 125? You know TJ Dillashaw.
I know TJ Dillashaw very well, and I think that's a phenomenal fight. Can TJ make the weight? I believe 100%, and that's why he was definitely trying to go for it. But look at the case, and this is something I use the example of. DJ's a phenomenal fighter. Easily creams the whole division. But then when he was at 35 against the best, Dominic Cruz, he was beating him up in the stand-up, but anytime Dominic Cruz got a hold of him, he was throwing him, he was tossing him, he was just out-grappling him, and he got beat up because of it. Now, what if he faces TJ, a guy who's a better grappler, probably faster, and is an attacker? I think it's a big, big disadvantage for DJ.
Okay.
So I think TJ wins that fight 9 out of 10 times.
Well, you don't really want that, right? Because then TJ has the belt. You're not going to fight your friend.
I'll fight TJ any day.
Oh, really?
TJ would love to fight. He would love to fight me.
What? Why? I thought you were friends.
Oh, and the thing is, if he doesn't want to fight me, then we're not friends. You know, it's
okay. I respect that.
I think Mike Tyson has the quote where like he fought. I think it's the same speech where he goes, "I broke my back." He goes, "I fought a friend. I knew he was in problems, and I didn't want to fight him, but I know he needs money. Cool, I'll fight you." You know, it's a living, it's a business. It's nothing against each other. And I think a fight with, you know, TJ, DJ, whomever, if I want to fight you, that means I respect you that much more.
Okay, all right, fair enough. You don't hear that often.
Yeah, you don't hear that often because people don't like to speak the truth, or they just don't think that way. I have a different mindset when it comes to certain things.
I'm really happy for you, man. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
What a debut, man. It was, honestly, I have to say, it was really cool to see both you, and I know you're not connected to him, but Nathaniel Woods is another big prospect. You guys were the first 2 fights of the night. It kind of felt like the card started off with a bang and sort of like trickled.
And it's like, we're gonna go.
Yeah, but it was great. And then you both had similar kind of turnarounds in terms of like the first round being a little dicey and then the comeback, and your clip has been everywhere. So I'm very happy for you.
The funny thing about that was I did wish him the best of luck because when people were saying the prospect, I knew nothing about him. I thought they were talking about me. So I was like, oh, hey, appreciate the luck. Oh, it's actually his post. My bad, sorry. But I wish him the best of luck. I was like, hey man, let's make our UFC pro debuts phenomenal and then do our thing. And then I'm walking behind him going onto the bus, and I was like, man, he's pretty big for 35. Like, I was like, yeah, I could probably bump up 35. I'll take a last minute fight. And then I'm walking behind him. He's, yay tall, super wide. I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to stay 25.
Yeah.
But it's funny because that week, I was cutting the weight. I saw his Brazilian opponent. He was cutting a decent amount of weight. I go, if he doesn't make weight, can I bump up and fight Nathaniel Woods so I don't have to fight Jared Brooks and make 25? I could probably make that happen. So I was already like weight cutting ideas.
These are the things that come to mind when you're struggling. Well, I'm happy you made weight. I'm happy you won. I'm happy it was spectacular, and I'm looking forward to now you having a normal camp. 8 weeks, 9 weeks, something like that.
Fingers crossed. If Mick Mander likes me.
Yeah, that would be really nice. And then going on a run here. So thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. Congratulations. My man Joe's going to walk you out here. Here he comes. Good luck to you, and enjoy Chicago. Maybe we'll see you there.
For sure.